Hey, Cole.
Hey, how's it going?
Where are you from? You're from the States, but where?
Yeah, I grew up in Sacramento, like Northern California. I grew up in Sacramento. I live in Oakland, and then
Oakland.
I work in San Francisco.
Is Oakland the place where all the gangs and it's kind of rough?
It's got a bad reputation. It was coming up, getting better and better. Still had a bad reputation from far away, but the closer you got, it was, people were like, oh, it's actually Oakland's popping. If it wasn't so close to San Francisco, it would be a huge city anywhere else. But after COVID, the kind of a lot of like opportunity, started going away and things got harder and the, crime has kind of gotten a little worse. So that's,
Right.
yeah, but.
Do you feel that you have been influenced by this San Francisco tech bubble, the whole Bay Area? Has that been a big part of your growing up in the vicinity, right next to it?
It's interesting. So initially, like when I was younger, when I just like finished college, growing up in the Valley, I describe San Francisco as having like a gravity, right? That attracted me, but it's like, if you want to work on like big stuff, if you want to like do something that's like going to have an impact, it has a gravity that attracts those people. But then at the same time, it's like the kind of like culture and the philosophy of it. I feel like it's actually had like being so much in it, and I don't know exactly what it's been, but it's made me like less liberal than I was before. It had like the opposite of the intended impact.
I feel like many people go from liberal as expand on that. Why are you less liberal?
Well, I mean, so there's a saying, right? Like, if you're not a liberal when you're a kid, then you don't have a heart, and if you're not conservative as you grow up, then you don't have a brain.
Yeah.
Like, which as a kid, like my dad would say that, and I was always like, "You don't get it, Dad." But it's just there's a lot of games that happen in politics where like politicians will say one thing and do another, and if kids, like as young teenagers, young adults,
Yep.
they haven't, like they don't do research in like local history, right? And so like they only know what they've seen in their short life.
Yep.
And so the words are what's attractive to them, and they don't have the like, how did that turn out, right?
Yeah,
but like,
yep.
so
Reality.
for instance, yeah, like when I first turned 18, I could vote for the first time. I was in
Let me get on the other side.
Yeah.
Harder.
I was in community college taking a physics class, and California had a bill, like a proposition on the ballot, which is kind of a unique California thing. There are cool and bad things about it, but if you get enough signatures, you can put anything on the California ballot, and then the people can vote on it.
That's nice.
And so what they did was, we want a $30 billion bond to build a high-speed rail in California to connect San Francisco to LA.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah, exactly. It's, oh, this sounds awesome. Like, we're gonna have a high-speed rail. This is cool. Yeah, it's gonna make jobs. It's so smart. And my dad's like, you trust, politics, like, you idiot. And I was just like, you don't get it, Dad. And so I voted for it. Like, it was among the first things I was able to actually vote for. That was 2008, maybe. So it's 2024 now. The budget, they've spent over $100 billion on it. And no two cities are connected.
No
and
way.
The first two cities that will be connected are like neither San Francisco or LA. They're two middle of nowhere cities.
What?
And so it's just like, oh, like now I get it, Dad. Like the politicians are the worst money managers of all time. Like, got it. Like there's no incentive for them to do well. And it's just like kind of this Ponzi scheme of like, how can we take, like Naval had I forget what his quip was at the network state conference. It was something like, politics is the unearned ability to allocate money or something like
Yes.
that. Or
Yes.
undeserved, allocation of power.
It's the easiest way to get power. You just scream some populist stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's so anyway, so it kind of it's like, oh, okay, like I just
That
the
messed
words don't. You can't listen to the words, but they're very attractive to kids who are,
Yeah. But still, isn't California very liberal, very kind of left-leaning?
Well, so again, California is a very big state, right? Like it's bigger than most countries.
True.
Both in GDP, population, and like physical size. And the thing in America is basically like the big cities are liberal, and then the countryside is more conservative. And so California is also like a huge farming community. We also have like mountains, we have like a lot of
countryside.
There are a lot of conservatives in California. They're just not in the big cities.
Right. So
And California used to be a Republican place, but it was essentially like co-opted by the Democrats. And I think like, I don't know. I've been reading. I'm not the best at this history, but there are those, who are saying that the Democrats currently are like importing illegals and fast tracking them to citizenship to basically buy blue votes.
Yep.
And that they did this in the past in California, and that's how they flipped California from like a mostly red to a battleground state to now it's just blue. And so they're like, oh, that worked really well. Let's do that with the whole country.
Why do you think, why are people not more mad about, for instance, the 100 billion wasted? Was it billion or million?
Billion.
100 billion wasted on the high-speed rail that just isn't seen.
Well, there's a couple of things. It's like people are mad. So there's different sets, right? People are mad. But then I think there's a big problem just generally where people are innumerate and numbers don't mean anything to most people, and they don't elicit emotional responses.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
So there are those things. And then the other one is like, so for me, it's like, okay, this is a fucking travesty, total waste of money, like, come on guys, let's do better. But it's like, I could get mad about it, but that feels like wasted energy. Instead, it's like, seems more useful to like, okay, what are the lessons learned? Don't trust the government to spend your money. Like if you want big projects done, like there needs to be an incentive structure, and like the capital needs to be allocated by people who know how to do that. You can't just have like unlimited overruns. And like print more money whenever you need it. Like that just makes stuff worse and worse. So it's, yeah, I would be more mad, but it's like I'm more just jaded, if that makes sense. So I think there's
jaded. You have like this hard kind of
shell.
Is that what it?
Yeah,
what does it mean?
it's like cynical, but it's more just like, I don't know. I've come to like expect, it's not the worst, but it's just like, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong, and I've been driven by the question of like, how does the world work? And as I've kind of like understood these, more and more, because at first it was like engineering, like math and physics. But then I realized like how much people, in psychology and mass psychology and like populist politics actually affects how the world works,
Yep.
How, like what media says, and like George Soros just bought like 180 or 200 radio stations all at once. And so now you have 200 radio stations and all saying the same thing.
Elon bought X.
Elon
just
bought
control
X.
of the discussion is very powerful.
Yeah. I'm a big Elon fan. I have been for a long time, since I was in high school, 2006 or something. And I believe like out of Out of all of like the big players in media, Elon is trying to like
be open for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Like breed and protect, you know, like free speech, create like a battleground, you know, like where ideas can,
yes,
you know, idea against idea, instead of just this like, we already know, like this a priori bullshit where it's like, we already know that Trump is bad, and so you don't need to listen to him, you don't need to listen to me, and if you ask any questions, you're a bad person, right? And it's crazy. Like, what? Like,
when did we get to that place?
Yeah, and they call it like science or democracy, and it's like, the words are just, they don't matter, and a lot of times they're like the opposite of what they should mean.
It's crazy where we come in the public discourse.
Yeah,
if Elon is doing good. Ideally, we would get maybe to a decentralized place where no person is in charge of the platform.
Yeah.
But that's in the future. I think for now it's good.
I do worry about that, the future of, because like one good leader is a great system where they can make quick decisions, and they can, and especially in the situation of Elon's case where his empire isn't something that he inherited but he built himself.
Yeah.
It proves that he deserves it.
True.
But what happens when Elon dies?
Yeah, who's gonna get what committee was gonna take
right,
over?
and how do we?
Yep.
How will he like protect the legacy and the values, you know, that make, you know, his great empire like what it is?
Yeah, because there's so many centralized risks there.
Exactly. Well, and there's so much incentive for, you know, like the entrenched, like established players to like swoop in and like take it over, you know, and like and corrupt it from the inside and flip it and turn it into what everything else is. So
sometimes I hope that he would turn, for instance, X totally decentralized, just flip X when Elon goes away to Farcaster, kind of.
Yeah.
Just make the whole thing, but that would be a wild move.
Yeah.
It's gonna be difficult for sure when that happens.
Farcaster's very interesting, but I'm like, my background's in like mechanical and HVAC, like the world of atoms, and my coding experience is not great, so I understand a little bit and appreciate some of the potentials that I can imagine with like an open back end, but I also, you know, realize that there's a lot of applications and things that they go over my head, and I don't see the full possibility of what Farcaster could become. So yeah, that's a whole topic. What is something that you would like to see built in the world, or see more of, apart from the high-speed rail? That would be awesome. But any other ideas or like? Yeah, well, so one of the reasons why the network state concept stuck out to me so much is that I'd been ideating for like a decade or more about like, how do we build like parallel societies and communities, but so
just zooming out.
No, you're good. How do we build parallel societies and communities from like the ground up with the infrastructure? So like applying technology. So I named my idea, and it's the best name I could come up with, the Technocratic Party. So the idea would be, but I think it might be better as a set of companies. And so the problem set is like, how do we provide for people's needs? And who cares about their wants? They can figure that out. But how do we provide for people's needs?
I like that.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to pay for.
So how do we provide for people's needs from a technological perspective, and how do we automate it as much as possible? So you break that into like Maslow's hierarchy. And so at the bottom level, it's like food, water, shelter. So it's like a solution set for shelter. Could be something like the company Boxable, right? For instance, where it's like a factory and they're making houses that like ship as shipping containers and then unfold, right? Yeah. There's a where does the land come from kind of a question. to that extent, I like.
Which question? Where does the land come from?
Yeah.
What does that mean in this context?
Okay, you buy a $50,000 house.
Yeah.
Where do you put it? You know. So, but so that's another thing, and to that effect, I like. So there's Oscar, I think it's Korea here, is working on this project, the Regen Tribe.
Right.
And regen villages, and so that's there's a. I've kind of tacked on to that project is like the engineering council, like an engineering consult.
I love it.
And so that is like, how do you go somewhere? How do you go to potentially like a desert or something?
Yeah.
And invest in the land. It's land nobody wants. And invest in the land and regenerate it and turn it into a food forest over time, right? And then,
how do you fulfill your base needs in a effective way?
Yeah, so like water treatment, is another one, and like at some level, like closing the water loop is an idea that I like, where if you had like indoor greenhouses that were fed from treated wastewater, or from like a septic system is another way to do it in a smaller way, directly outside. You just put really water hungry or thirsty plants like bananas, banana trees or something like that on top of your septic system, and they soak up all this nutrient water and then like make food out of it.
So are you thinking like creating companies to do this? How does that like network state idea connect to this?
Well,
or the technocracy?
So yeah, so there's different. There's a
V1,
big yeah
V2.
there's a big idea space that I'd been thinking about, and then Oscar and Sonia have been actually have been building this out, and so they have a property in Tulum that is kind of functioning as their like proof of concept, but they're looking at it as like we want to teach like you guys, whoever, how to start your own like regenerative community. And so it's like the network state is like a big part of like the network school is teaching us, I think, how to start our own smaller network state nodes.
Yeah.
And so there will be different types of network states, like aligned along different value sets. So Oscar and the Regen Tribe and Sonia and myself and others here attracted to this idea want to start like a smaller node set of or branch of network states specifically focused around like renewable and regenerative like food, water, and shelter production, and then education of these things. So teaching other people how these technologies work, taking technology, trying to apply it to these problems in an optimal way. You'll have different technologies and different approaches and different climate types. But once you kind of solve the desert climate type, you can apply that to,
So it's the you need the full stack to create
Yeah.
that kind of society. You need the software, but you also need everything real, like the hard reality, food,
Exactly.
shelter,
Right. And that's
the stack you're kind of thinking about.
And it complements like Balaji's network state, because Balaji's it's technological. It's like, how do we vote on the blockchain? How do we create our own currency? How do we, make decisions, and how do we prove that we're humans, right? But if things really go sideways, it's like, where does food come from?
Yeah.
And
even here we are now progressed from plastic bottles to the filtering water system.
Yeah.
That's like the V1 of a
Exactly.
little bit better. The food is, there's a lot of things you need to improve on.
Exactly. But it's still like the water that's going into that like higher filtration process is also treated somewhere else.
Indeed.
There's a larger treatment plant. There's a larger like wastewater plant that feeds the island.
Let's turn around.
Yeah, sure. I've been trying to figure out infrastructure-wise, like where is the water plant that feeds the island? Like where's the wastewater treatment
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. Like, it seems like the blueprints were lost. The blueprints for the island were lost during COVID or something, which is
No
a
way.
strange situation. I'm not sure if that's exactly true, or if just like the hotel manager and the sales guy, like, don't know.
But this is an interesting place because it's quite recently built. There
Yeah.
should be good infra.
Yeah,
and
well,
like,
and in
blueprint at least.
the sales center, where they kind of like have a model, like a scale model of the whole island, and like not just the island, but like the 4 islands that are eventually to be built.
Okay, I didn't know that, but okay.
There's going to be a total of 4.
Same size. Boom, boom, boom.
Slightly different sizes. With all 4 islands built, it's supposed to be a population of 700,000. So anyway, they brag about, oh, we're gonna have, there's a model that shows like that they plan to like treat their water and then reuse the treated water, but it's just this box with like a recycling sign on it. And I was asking them, I was like, what's this? And they're like, oh, we don't know. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. And then there's another part in the sales center where they brag about BIM, like building information modeling. It's kind of like CAD, but for construction. And so it's like, oh, okay, so this was all, it's not just designed on paper, but like this was designed in a computer somewhere, the whole island, right?
Yeah, yep.
Where are those files?
They're
like
private, some high up guys holding
Yeah.
them.
So my hope is, because like one of the Malaysian sultans, I think of Johor Bahru, was personally invested in this project, that someone in there, so it wasn't just the Country Garden Chinese developers, but also part of the Malaysian government was invested in this, that hopefully, because they're still invested in the success of the blooming of what this island can become, that maybe they have the documents. And so that,
One would hope
Balaji and the network school crew might be able to reach out to them and get these. And if we can get our hands on those, it's a lot more helpful in terms of like, okay, how can we tap into the existing infrastructure and build
more,
out here?
Yeah, definitely valuable. Well, what's next for you on these topics? As I understand it, you are now going back for work for a while, but what do you see as the next step for you personally?
Well, so there's a lot of possibilities. I feel like my life recently has been marked by many possibilities.
The new age.
Yeah, but I think to some extent I am very inspired to try to lean into the internet and digital technologies, potentially digital community building. And I have an idea to leverage my plumbing and HVAC experience and contacts in the engineering and construction industry in San Francisco.
Yep.
To create like a HVAC and plumbing internet first community hub.
Yes.
So I think that's probably something that's on my path. I'm actually going to be, because of my job, I'm on the board of the San Francisco chapter of the American Society of Professional Engineers. And later, it's October like 5th right now, I think. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be going back to it's called ASPE, American Society of Professional Engineers.
Right.
Which I always say, and I'm the ambassador, so I'm the ambassador of ASPE.
You're in a good spot.
It is, but there's a joke there. It's like ASPE is another way we call people Asperger's. And I'm like, of course, I'm the ambassador of ASPE.
Yeah, the engineering.
I always thought that was funny. But there's a national convention we're going back to, and I'm going to go as a delegate on behalf of the San Francisco chapter. So it seems like a good opportunity to, if nothing else, like start building an email list.
Yeah, launch something in that, or even right now you could.
I don't have much time, but something that's become apparent here is just how powerful AI can be in terms of coding. And I've taken some coding classes, but I've never worked at a coding company, had a coding job, or developed my own coding project. And so it's always been this like scary, kind of mystical, you know, process.
Yep.
And it's just being here for 2 weeks has really like helped demystify.
It's so easy to talk to people and have questions.
Yeah,
and learn.
absolutely.
But to your point about the like internet, the kind of society or whatever you want to, like a community, that's also something I've learned, how powerful the internet kind of is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Intuitively, it doesn't make sense. Like you can reach out to 1,000 people on the internet and it's not even much, but 1,000 people in real life is so much.
Yeah.
It's like it's exponential in a way that we humans have a hard time to understand.
Yeah, that's a way where like even people who are very numerate are still kind of innumerate. Like our logic, our sense, our ability to estimate. Like it's hard for us, you know, even the best mathematicians to appreciate what exponential growth actually means.
Yep.
You know,
our brain are not wired for it.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think that's a good idea. And there's also this concept of you have a community with an outcome-focused community.
Yeah.
That our community, you join this community if you are a writer and you want to write a book.
Yep.
That's like a good example.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that sense, I like your idea that you have very clear focus, and maybe you can even have some sort of outcome-focused community around.
Yeah, I have ideas there. Basically, help like career development, help people like, especially people newer to the industry, you know, like younger people, like understand the core concepts to really feel confident and understand how systems work, so that they can like reason from first principles when you show up and something's broken and it's like, what's wrong?
I like this idea. I think you'll do great.
Thank you.
Are you a reader or any good content you've seen lately? Like could be a podcast, movie, book, article.
Yeah, there's a lot, but as far as like weird ones, so I really like Brett Weinstein and the Dark Horse podcast, which is an evolutionary biologist.
And his wife.
Okay, so you're familiar.
I don't listen to it much, but a little bit every now and then.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. So I like Jay Bhattacharya has one called The Illusion of Consensus. So he's an epidemiologist who was censored during the pandemic because he essentially had positions like, hey, we figured out how to deal with pandemics decades ago, and like this is the playbook and this is what we're doing, and we're not following the playbook, we're like inventing a new playbook, and they were like, get out of here. So he's interesting.
Any movies or like entertainment, series, stuff like that? Not that I myself do that much, actually, but sometimes.
Well, let's see. Like another. It's not quite a podcast, but there's this Alex Ramosi guy.
Yeah.
Who's great at motivating people to move from being entrepreneurs to like actually starting a business and becoming entrepreneurs. As far as entertainment, let's see. I'll plug my friend's band, A Lot Like Birds. Check them out. Post-hardcore, a lot of screamo. Get ready for it. If you're not ready for that, check out there's a couple just instrumental versions of some of their albums, and they're great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Isn't the Hormozy guy, he's part of this school company that does community?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, I'm getting some like personalized ads targeting me to join that. And there's somebody here from the network school who's actually doing that as well. So I've talked to her a bit. I think upon returning, to the default world in my normal life, that I might sign up for school, and that could help facilitate the building of this online, you know, the HVAC
Yeah.
and plumbing community.
There might be something there, but also it's probably very doable to do yourself. Just
Sure,
the list and kind of build what you need.
Sure.
But they provide this ready-made.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a regimen is nice. It's yeah, like getting in shape here the last 2 weeks. It's, you know,
It's been good.
it's been great.
I feel like that's one of the. It's good for me. This systematically, just everyday workout we do.
Exactly. A
Physical
little
training.
bit of social pressure,
Yes.
and it's just
And sleep good, and I kind of also feel people here are very, at the network school, kind of work oriented.
yeah,
It's like it's totally fine that now we do work.
yeah,
It's not about having fun and let's chill on the beach.
right.
It's more like solution and building things oriented, which is
Yeah,
nice.
and a lot of the fun that I've been having is just like deep talks or like explaining, somebody explaining like the nuts and bolts of,
Yep.
you know, the deep back end of their project, and it's just like, whoa, like,
Yep.
and the network school like attracts the kind of people, you know, that like that's their idea of a good time, is like
Yes.
sharing these awesome, like,
True.
cutting edge ideas. So yeah,
You're correct. It's fun in
Yeah.
itself. That
Yeah.
I agree. And just stimulating environment to be in general.
yeah.
Okay, but what else? What's something you've learned or changed your mind recently? Some idea or something, some topic that it can be like in the past couple of years or in a couple of weeks.
Well, so one of them, and this is gonna sound rich coming from like the island of the crypto bros, but I kind of understood Bitcoin fairly well before I came in, the proof of work concept.
Yeah.
I understood that Ethereum had like a proof of stake, and so it wasn't, but it seemed like, oh, okay, there's something here, but they don't have the kinks worked out. And so after in the last, you know, what was it, 2019, 2020, 21, you know, bull market, I bought some crypto, you know, I bought some like Bitcoin and some Ethereum on like Robinhood, you know, and then like when it hit the top and started to dip, I sold it and I made a bunch of money. But like, that's not, you know, I wasn't in like the private keys. Like I'd actually like lost some money because I lost the keys to,
Yep.
you know, so it's like, okay, learn that lesson. But so coming here to the network school, you know, part of it is like, okay, sign up for a wallet, you know, so you can get the NFTs to proof of earn and stuff.
Actually,
and so it was the first time that I'd looked at crypto in a couple of years.
Same.
And the Web3 has grown a lot. And with the layer 2 protocols like Base and stuff, the transaction costs are down to pennies.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize like
It's
how
fast
far
and cheap.
things had come. Yeah, it's so that's yeah, it's not, I mean, I guess it's like kind of my mind changed, but it's just like there's new data that I didn't understand, you know, didn't realize was there. And so
Crypto is perfect to leave it for a couple of years and then you come back to see, hey, what's changed?
Yeah.
Because it takes time to build these like cutting edge technologies, but
Absolutely.
they do improve.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And then here too, it's like somebody was doing a presentation the other day on like how you can do like a currency swap, you know, from like
The DeFi
Ethereum,
workshop.
yeah, Ethereum to Base to, you know, USDC. But then you can they showed us how to go into the smart contracts, because Ethereum is a coding language, which is, I'd heard about this, but like didn't fully understand, like, where is this? How can I check myself? So he showed us where we can go to find these things and take the contract and plug it into AI to have AI explain to us.
That is such a good
What's
use
happening.
case for AI, because it looks cryptic to the person, but the AI can totally explain. Like, this is what it does.
So I mean, yeah, it's been awesome.
I agree. The DeFi stuff has been interesting to actually use.
Yeah.
Like we're actually sitting there and doing the transactions yourself and
Right.
looking at it. Hey, where can people find you online? Are you active?
I'm on Twitter or X at USA Bird Brain, Instagram American Bird Brain. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, brother. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.